Well, the NBA's media is absolutely cooked, populated by know-nothing morons, sycophants, and outright jock sniffers who have stood idly by watching over the demise of this once great sport while slathering themselves in hot oils and drooling over the fraud king who has presided over the league's demise. Now, though, the village idiots who have cheered the guy on all the way, who ushered in this putrid era, are here now with ideas to make it all better. Of course, we had Gilbert Arenas last year famously declare the NBA should just get rid of all European players.
I know what they can do. Get rid of all the Europeans.
They have no athleticism, right? They have no speed, no jumping ability. They are a liability on defense.
Forget the fact that the best player the NBA has seen in about 15 years just so happens to be European. And now, two more of the preeminent voices, not just in the NBA, but all of sports media, Colin Cowherd and Nick Wright, got together for a little powwow about how to fix the NBA on Cowherd's podcast. And to no one's surprise, these two idiots lived up to expectation in the sheer and utter stupidity they were throwing around. Firstly, these two have been engaging in an elaborate series of one-upsmanship for years to see who can voraciously pleasure themselves on air more to the exploits of the cowardly, super-teaming mercenary league destroyer.
Michael's great, don't get me wrong. But when you put the magnifying glass on LeBron, he just does a lot more at a much higher level than Michael Jordan.
LeBron's been the best player ever since about midway point of Game 6 of last year's finals, and all he's done since then is continue that.
But now they're concerned about the NBA.
I love basketball, and I'm worried about basketball. I am legitimately worried about the NBA.
Sure. Watch LeBron crack open the super team era, steal 4 trash rings as defense is completely litigated out of the sport to pump up the volume of stats for the last, roughly 10 years now and counting, but now it's time to clean things up. Got it. But don't get overly excited here, guys. They weren't offering any real suggestions. First things first, though, before they really got started, you gotta find a way to get some unsolicited LeBron jock sniffing in the conversation while talking about, of all things, load management.
Because LeBron plays. You know what I mean? Like, LeBron, did he get hurt last night? Then he's playing. Like, even though he's the oldest guy in the league. And if it were any other superstar, I would have, when my wife mentioned to me, should we do it? I would have said yes, but let's wait until like 5 o'clock.
Yeah, because no other stars play today. Right, because Nikola Jokic didn't just play 79 games last season in an MVP campaign. Because Nikola Jokic hasn't played in the 70s of games played in 8 of his first 9 NBA seasons. LeBron James, meanwhile, has played every game in an NBA season 1 time in 22 years now and counting. The last league MVP, meanwhile, to play every game in an NBA season was Kobe Bryant, and that was over 15 years ago. In fact, Kobe played more games than LeBron in LeBron's last MVP season of 2012-2013. During that year, LeBron was 28 years old, while Kobe was in his 17th season. Michael Jordan played at least 80 games in 11 of his 15 NBA seasons, and that included his final season in the league, a season where he turned 40 in the middle of it. So please, Nick, remove LeBron's jock from your nose. Now on to the real impactful ideas for change here, like making dunks worth 3 points.
Have a real conversation about, hey, dunks are also worth 3 now.
Yes, seriously, they said that because to no one's surprise, this buffoon who has slobbered over a guy who is shooting 37% from outside of 5 feet from the basket for his entire career is a little bummed there isn't enough athleticism being showcased today.
We're minimizing athleticism. It's Clearly a disaster.
Awful.
A disaster.
Yes.
Oh, but I thought this was the bigger, stronger, and faster era. Surprisingly, Wright stopped just short of offering to go through and audit every second of game film for LeBron's entire career in order to add an extra point to his career totals for every dunk. But I am certain Clutch Sports can lend out some interns to help with that. Nick, meanwhile, went on to illuminate just how inept and out of touch he actually is with this sport by highlighting what he sees as some of the major problems in the league today.
If the NBA does not make a massive change, it is in huge
hurts.
trouble because they have
Yes.
they're still suckling off the teat of LeBron, Steph, KD. Your most popular players are the oldest.
This clown can't even realize that these are actually the principal players who are to blame for the destruction of the league. Luckily, though, Colin Cowherd was here to get the conversation back on track.
I said, can you imagine if the NFL only allowed the tush push and bombs? There's no intermediates, no bubble screens. It's just power running or bombs. That's the NBA. It's not as appealing.
Please pay no attention to the best two players in the NBA today who do the primary amount of their damage in the intermediate range. Oh, and if you wanted to throw another name in the mix with Nikola Jokic and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, it would certainly be Giannis Antetokounmpo, who scores the majority of his points around the basket and on dunks. But yes, agreed, the NBA does, no doubt, have a big problem. The answer, though, isn't more pathetic little gimmicks, it's promoting competition. Competition overall, amongst teams, in disincentivizing super team-ups and encouraging players to start, playing defense again. Of course, these two cretins think going away from the super team model was the wrong idea.
The NBA just last year massively changed the rules proactively to make sure super teams can't exist anymore, which theoretically,
Mistake.
Theoretically you understand it, but ultimately probably a mistake.
Again, this is utterly shocking, seeing as how their Lord and Savior, the Fraud King, would likely have one or fewer total titles without the super team-up model. The one thing the NBA has actually done right in the last decade is blocking super teams. Now all they have to do is sprinkle back in hand checking, calling fouls a bit looser, and eradicating flopping from this disgusting current product. Then we will really be headed back in the right direction.